Do you keep dying in ranked and don't know why? If so, you've clicked on the right video. I've been one of the top ranked players for over 5 seasons now, and today I'm going to be breaking down my thought process and showing all of you 8 different ways to become a smarter fighter. And if you can master these techniques, you're never going to find yourself losing a fight ever again. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Also go check out my other socials. Use code Farley in the item shop. But now onto the first fight. So first off, if you want to become a smarter fighter, you need to learn how to piece control properly in ranked. So in this first example we're going to go over right here, I'm fighting down in the black market and this other player is trying to fight me for the drum gun. I shockwave through his box and then he's going to box up. Now when I'm fighting this player, I notice there's a ramp set up and there's no floor placed here. So instead of going for this wall from this weird angle, I'm going to place a wall in front of me and then place a floor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a normal edit to bait the player out to then maybe edit on me. Then I reset the cone, and then I'm going to set up a Martaz peak, which is where you edit the back left tile or the back right tile, and this is going to give you a crazy jump peak. Now the player doesn't edit on me, so instead of going for the jump shot, I'm going to shoot and then steal the wall at the same time. Now at this point, I don't want to make a dumb wide edit and then get pumped in my face. So I'm going to play patient, see what the other player does. And when I make this window edit, I see he flips up the cone. Now I make the wide edit because I know he can't shoot at me. And that means I'm able to get behind this player and then I place a cone on his head. Now once I get to this point right here, I can't make a normal edit. As you can see in the background clip, you're going to notice that if you make this front tile edit, you're going to get shot in your face. So instead of doing what this player wants me to do and just edit, I'm going to edit the cone. And then when the player sees me, I'm then going to reset the cone in his face. This will then bait the player to shoot the cone, and then I can shoot for free and kill the player without getting shot back at. And you'll notice that throughout that fight, I took 0 damage. So make sure if you want to fight smarter, you do this. Moving on now, let's talk about the second best way to become a smarter fighter, and that is with predictions. Predictions are the best and most effective way to end fights quickly. So let's use this fight right here for an example. I'm reloading my gun, I look to my left and I see a player super far away in the distance, but I see him running out to the right. So I want to cut him off and meet him where he's going to be. So I'm going to sprint up the hill, and when I see him in the open, I'm going to get a big hit of opening damage, and then I'm going to start to close the distance with my sticky launcher. Now as I'm fighting this player, he's going to start to build up. Now when this player takes high ground, I need to stay protected and do a good high ground retake so that I can get back up on height. So from this position, I'm going to jump off to the side of these builds, catch myself with a floor and a ramp, and then I'm going to place high walls off to my right and above me, and then place a ramp at the same time. From this position, it keeps me completely protected from this player, and then after I get to this point, I'm then going to edit out, set up a double edit, but when I get to this point, I'm then going to flip the double edit to keep me protected, while also allowing me to go up an extra layer. This now gives me high ground on the player, and when this player boxes up and he realizes I have height, I notice that the back left wall was open, so he's probably going to move out in that direction. So I'm going to move in that direction, anticipating he's going to go there, and I'm able to double it on the player, and I'm able to pick up a quick kill. So make sure when you get in fights in ranked, you're using predictions to piece control your opponents. Moving on now, let's talk about the next best way to become a smarter fighter and most importantly end fights quickly. And that is by applying pressure and changing angles. Understanding how to do both of these at the same time is the easiest way to pick up free kills in ranked. So a perfect example of how to do this would be right here. I'm going to push over to the center of the map because I know the medallion's over here and I want to fight him. When I see the player out in the open, I'm going to hit him with my mammoth pistol, and then I'm going to start to close the distance with a shockwave. After this point, it's very important that I apply pressure so that this player doesn't have time to med up. And when I'm applying pressure to this player, he's going to take high ground on me. Now when he takes high ground on me, it's very important that I close the distance in between me and him so that he doesn't have time to med up. So I'm going to jump off my cone, catch myself, and then place a high wall in between me and him. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this wall while placing a cone. This will then block the player from going further up in the builds. As you can see, the player does try to pull out his map, but since I block this player off from going up, he's now stuck. I side jump, carry my momentum, and I'm able to crack the player. After I crack the player, he's still super weak on HP. He runs away, I use the clicks ramp to close the distance, and then all I have to do is apply a little bit of pressure, and I was able to pick up a kill and get all of this mythic loot for free. Now when fighting in ranked, a lot of players you're going to run into are going to be nervous because they're afraid of dying and losing all their rank points. Now you can use this to your advantage because if you can learn how to properly bait out your opponent, you can usually pick up free kills. So for example, in this fight right here, I see this player building down below me, so I want to bait him out to peek. And when I see this other player over here, I know that if I start spraying at him, the other player's then going to start to try and push me. And when the player does sprint towards me, I'm able to get a big beam of damage and I'm able to crack him. After I crack him, I'm going to shoot a sticky launcher and then sprint over and pre-fire the sticky launcher to do some damage so that he's not able to med up. At this point, the player is super weak, but I don't want to make any dumb edits where I could take a bunch of damage. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I drop onto the player's wall. Notice how I stay on the right side so that if the player makes a peanut butter edit, I can counter it. After I get those 2 hits of damage, he's now super weak. So all I'm going to do is drop onto this player's wall, pull out my pickaxe, swing once, and then pull out my pump. After I do this, the player is then forced to edit, and when he edits on me, I know I can shoot before he can, and I'm able to pick up a quick kill. After I pick up the kill, notice how I block off my back and make sure I don't get third-partied before I even go for the loot. So make sure to fight smarter, that you pull out your pickaxe and bait your opponent to peek. Moving on now, let's talk about the best way to avoid dying in ranked, and that is with awareness. Having good awareness is going to allow you to control every aspect of your fights. So let's use this fight right here for an example. I'm sitting in a 2x1. As you can see, there's 2 other people around me, so I don't know where either of them are. Now, while I'm sitting in this box, I'm going to pop my chug jug to get myself healthy. When I do this, the other player then starts to pop his big pot. I didn't know where he was though. So I'm going to edit up my roof, and then I'm going to make sure to scout through my cone. This is going to allow me to see around me without exposing myself. I then obviously see the player right in front of me, and I know that the floor under him is probably mine because I was building in this area earlier. So I edit the tiles below me, and I see that the brick is mine. So I drop him down and I crack him. After I crack him, I reset the wall. Now after dropping that player down and cracking him, he only can move into this box right here. So I'm going to block off that area so that if he walks in there, I can kill him. But he has a right hand peek on me right now. So I'm going to reset the wall and then hold out my pump because the player's probably going to try and jump in. So I'm going to let him shoot the wall. Now he has shotgun delay, and now I can pump him and pick up a quick kill. After I pick up that kill, I make sure to create this extra box of space because the other guy that was third partying us is going to try to jump into my box. But since I was patient and I waited for him to get cracked, I'm able to take a good angle. Notice how I go around the back side of the box. This is because this other guy's looking at us and I don't want to get shot by him, and I was able to pick up a free kill. Also, after I get that kill, notice how I don't even go for any of the loot because I know the other player was shooting at us and he's probably going to third party. And since I get over to him before he can third party me, I'm able to slow him down and I'm able to pause and take a break. So make sure when you're fighting in ranked, you have good awareness and you're able to cut off angles so you can piece people up. Moving on now, I want to talk about the best way to consistently win ranked games or even just play super high in ranked games, and that is playing for a win condition. Playing for a win condition is going to allow you to have an advantage over the rest of the lobby, and that means that winning the game is going to be 10 times easier. So let's use this game as an example right here. I'm at Lone Wolf Lair and I'm going to pick up a few kills. After I pick up these kills, I'm then going to make sure to head towards the center of the map and play for my win condition, which is the medallion. If I can kill this player and get the medallion early, it's going to make winning my game 10 times easier. So I'm going to get in a car and head towards the center of the map, and when I see the medallions below this hill, I get up on high ground and then I'm going to patiently wait for the player to push over to me. After he pushes over me, I'm able to spray him, get a bunch of opening damage, and then I'm going to close the distance. And then all I'm going to do from this point is then just pre-fire the wall. And after I pick up that kill, you'll notice I now have some of the best loot you could ever possibly get. And that means I was able to go on, roll the rest of the lobby, end up with 15 kills, and win the game. By the way, win condition doesn't mean you have to play for a medallion. It could just mean you have 6 gold splashes for rotations, or maybe you just play for a vault. Any of these could be considered a win condition and will allow you to win games more consistently. So make sure you give yourself an advantage going into your ranked games. Another way that you can become a smarter fighter is by forcing your opponents to make mistakes. Forcing your opponents to make mistakes is going to allow you to counter them and pick up free kills. So an example of how to do this properly would be right here. I heard these 2 other players fighting near me, and I'm going to start to close the distance on them. Now, when I know that the other player has finished this fight and he's in that bush, I don't know where he is in all those boxes. So instead of pushing him, I'm going to drive my car past him so that he knows I'm here, and I'm going to look back at him. And when I see him edit towards me, I'm going to drive the car past me, boost it, and then get out. This is going to bait the player to think I drove away, and now he's going to start to push up towards the hill. This is now going to allow me to get the jump on the player, get a big hit of opening damage, and now this player is super weak at this point. And from this point, this player boxes up in 1 box of wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop onto his wall, pickaxe swing to then bait the player to come out. He's already starting to push me, so that works in my favor, and I'm able to pump him, and then I'm able to just piece him up very simply and then pick up a quick kill. So make sure when you're fighting in ranked, you're fighting smarter and you're baiting out your opponents to get big hits of opening damage. Another thing you need to understand about fighting in ranked, and if you want to fight smarter and use your brain properly, you need to understand that your playstyle is determined by your loadout. I have the medallion and I have a bat, which means I should be getting damage from far away on my opponents, and then closing the distance really quickly so that I can pick up free kills. So when I see this player in the open, I'm going to spray him in the back, shoot my sticky launcher while pulling out my bat so that I can close the distance. Now this player does try to run away from me, but since I'm playing to my play style, he's not going to be able to run away. And when I see him hugging this wall, I know he's going to need to look for counter damage so that I'll stop pushing him. So I'm going to hug the right side of the wall so he doesn't have a right hand peek, and then jump over it, and then I'm able to pump the player and then pick up a quick kill. But I was able to kill this player super quickly because I understood what type of loadout I had and how I needed to play in order to win that fight. And that is going to wrap up this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to see 10 different build moves to get better at Fortnite, go check this video out. But with that, I'm out. Peace.